Alright everybody, looks like we are here at the draw, on the draw rather. We are going to go ahead and keep this hand. Looks as though this person may or may not be a Wizards of the Coast employee. I don't know what that means. The purple text there, never seen it. Just be my guess. Okay, so we were going to lead on a Colonnade. Well, this is quite awkward. I guess we're going to have to hold off on the visions here. I think what is this? Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies. Yeah, I don't like the look of that guy. So we're going to hold off on this visions. I don't know if we have time to suspend it with the mana that we have, so. Okay. Let's go ahead, get the strand down. So now we will have our logic knot up. And I don't know what our... Okay. Looks like they really need a land. So we're not going to prevent them from killing their own guy. Second Pelt Collector. Okay. Alright. That one we will say no to. Go ahead and get an Island. And I'm going to use this Logic Knot. This deck might be playing Simian Spirit Guide, but let's hope not. Alright. So there we go. Once again, our awkward mana is kind of punishing us. We're just going to keep this mana leak up, because I have no idea what their deck is doing. It looks to be like some sort of aggro deck, and so the longer we can stave off, yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So this deck, if I had to guess, is definitely playing Simian Spirit Guide. So moving forward, I will make attempts. Yeah. Oh, low. To reveal a Terminus. So we'll get rid of that little guy. And we'll suspend this visions. And I think if we can hit a land here on our next turn, we should be off and away here. Nakatl, okay. Really need a land. Love a land. Okay, that'll do. Now, do I want to put this into play and bounce the Jace? Probably not, since they're most likely playing Bolt. So what I will probably do here, okay, if that's what he wants to do, then I'm going to counter this and return this to his hand. Now, it's possible that he's going to want to do something horrible to us next turn, but only time will tell. We're just trying to bridge the gap between, now that we have this 4 mana here, our powerhouse cards kind of come online. We have the Cryptics, we have the Supreme Verdict, the Jace, obviously, that we're kind of struggling to find a window to land here. So I really don't want to just use this Jace as a 4 mana unsummon. Oof, that is brutal. I think what we're going to do is play Jace, and unsummon, and if they have the bolt, then they have the bolt. That's okay, we have a backup Jace. Since they just kind of threw a bolt at their face, I imagine they probably do. But that's fine. Because like I said, we're just trying to leverage our deck to the point where our more powerful spells can take over. And that Jace also ate a bolt, so I'm not sad about that exchange there. What I think I'm going to do next turn, depending on what we draw here. Also, this Vision's ticking down, so okay. So I think what I might do here is I'm contemplating playing a second Jace and taking it down on this Nacatl again. So I'm kind of looking for a removal spell, though. I could just brainstorm, but that doesn't feel right. I think we're going to take a hit here. And if they try and do anything disgusting, we'll just have this Cryptic Command up, or a Snap Mana Leak. Rancor. Okay. So, Rancor, I think what we'll just do is counter target spell, return permanent to its owner's hand. Maybe we'll just counter draw. We really need to get something going here, so actually, you know what we can do? We can return target permanent to its owner's hand and draw a card. Now, if they want to lightning bolt their own Nacatl, they can do that. Ooh, yay. That was sweet. And they don't have a follow-up play. Oh, they do have a follow-up play. Vexing Devil. Okay, well, we are going to take 4. And then we're going to play this Jace and go upstairs with it. Maybe, after we draw some cards. Ooh, baby. Okay. So let's go ahead. Get out of there. Let's go ahead and play our Jace. And we're actually going to, I think we're gonna Fate Seal our opponent here, just to get him out of bolt range, because our opponent's having. Okay, there we go. And they have left the game. So apparently, whoever that was had enough. Don't really get enough to say about whatever was going on there. So we'll just count that as a bonus match or something. Conceded and left the game. Yep. So they're gone. So we'll just do that, and we'll try and jump into another game here real quick. So sorry about that, but that's what happens sometimes when you're on in the 2-man queue. So looks like we're on the draw again. This hand just doesn't do anything. The mana is awkward. I think this is a pretty easy mulligan. Once again, this is awkward. We have the visions, but it doesn't do a lot other than that. So, but I really don't want to go down to fewer cards in hand. So we are going to go ahead and keep this. I don't think it's a good hand, Does have a little bit of early game interaction, but apparently this spell snare is going to be late unless we can find a untapped blue source, which is what we're going to scry for here. So if we can get the blue source, we'll play it and keep up the spell snare. Ooh. Okay. So this is most certainly Affinity, and they brought all the jars with them. Oh, okay, so this is Hardened Scales Affinity. We did hit the untapped blue source. I know they play things like Ravager, so we're just going to keep this up. They can't... okay, yes, they can't just sacrifice these and like stuff them on there, so we're just going to have to keep up the spell snare, I think. We could just die. If we draw a Terminus, we'll be real sad, but I just think we need to try and interact here on these early turns. Okay. We need to interact on these early turns. Or I think we're just going to get run over. So there's the Ravager. So if they go land Ravager, we at least have the spell snare. So that's not nothing. They're going to deny us the satisfaction here. Hit us for 2, I guess. Maybe they'll play it post-combat. Okay. Ooh, boy. Rough. Okay. It's also rough. So we'll just keep that spell snare up. Maybe they didn't have a second mana source. It's possible. But I'm certainly content to take 2 here for a little while. So if we can get the visions online next turn, hopefully we can cash in the snare here. I'm not sure what we're waiting for here, or what our opponent's doing. Okay. Maybe he's trying to confuse me, make me forget whose turn it was. So looks like we'll be able to get a Ravager here. Taking 2. Dangleberg here will tab through. There we go. Oh, I got it ready. I am very ready. Ooh, Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista X1 costs how many to charge it up? 4? That's fine. That's fine. I think they don't have a a nasty card out, so I think we need to save that for the things that matter. Now I'm going to play the island out. I'm going to suspend this. And I really want to get that Ravager. He does have one, right? Okay, yes. Not my imagination. He picked it up off the stirrings. Let's see what he found. There's 1 mana. Throne of Geth. Sacrifice an artifact and proliferate. Yeah, I don't think I care about that. Maybe I do. What is you choose any number of permanents. Okay, that's good to know. Yes. So that's actually quite dangerous then, I guess. I did not realize that it was all of your permanents. So that might just kill us. RTFC, I guess, huh? So we are definitely probably not going to live long enough to take this Visions off of Suspend. Oh, well, sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good, I guess. Unfortunately, they can activate the Inkmoth Nexus. Put 1, 2, 3, 4, put some number of counters on that. So when this dies... Alright, well, we're going to play the Ghost Quarter. Oh, nuts. Well, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Here, hold on. We'll have to do this in a different way. 1, 2. Sacrificed Ghost Quarter on a thing here. This is far from ideal, but we either do this or we die. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. So now they can land there. I guess he can save one of these with the Welding Jar too. You might be in trouble. You might just be dead. So now we had to burn our 6, yeah. So he attacks us and then just pings us with counters. Okay, so that was my fault. I should have read that card and understood what it did. So we will go ahead and bring in some... Go ahead and bring in some cards that do things over some cards that don't do many things. I think all of our removal here is good. Crucible, I don't know if I like that. All the removal, all that looks good. We cut a Jace. Well, the Jaces help set up the Termini. Are these just not where we want to be? Do we just win by doing other things? This doesn't seem that great. Clique doesn't seem fantastic. Seems like there's some decent targets for Negate. Maybe the Nodes is too slow? I don't know. We could have Logic Knot. It's just a little awkward to use. Timely seems pretty good, as long as they don't have a Ballista. Teferi is kind of a catch-all. Cryptic seems like an all-star once you get to that point of the game. We're going to go down to Teferi. And cut the Ancestral. Alright. Let's give this a shot. Yeah, I guess last game I definitely just tunnel visioned a little bit on that Ravager. Alright, it's slow, but I think if we can keep the board clear, I think we can get there with this hand. If we start throwing angels at him. Now, one thing I will say is that, again, I've been out of the meta for a little bit, so I'm not quite sure what type of cards this deck is running in its sideboard. So I am fully prepared to have some unpleasant surprises. Okay. Here's the Stirrings, Finding, Ravager. Okay. Stony Silence would of course be the best draw here. No such luck. Do we want to just oust this right away and put him back a turn? Turns off his opal. I'll keep up the negate here. If he goes for a hardened scales, I'd like to be able to deal with that. Maybe I'm boarding these angels in too often, but I don't know. I feel like they're just really good in just about every matchup. So let's see, he's got that. If he's just going to swing for one here, I mean, I will accept that as a turn that he could have. Play a forest and pass. That is fully acceptable to me. If this is the Ravager, okay, Steel Overseer. So that one we're going to path right now. Don't want that guy hanging around. Not for a second longer. Okay, we drew a replacement path. So this is great. We have our backup path as well as our negate at the ready. I have to imagine that assuming about normal levels of variance and two players facing off each other that have a reasonable grasp on the format and their respective decks, I have to imagine that this matchup is heavily favored for the blue-white deck here. It just seems really difficult for them to get through when a lot of our primary answers line up pretty well with what they're doing here. But we'll see. We'll see. I could be eating my words shortly. So I'm not sure if our opponent's just lagging a little bit, if they're very thoughtful. Oust is an interesting inclusion. I know there's some debate over whether Oust or Condemn is the better path to exile 5 and 6. Oust has the upside of being able to hit mana and utility creatures that don't actually get into combat, whereas Condemn is a much more long-term solution, typically, and also operates at instant speed. So, is this the Ravager? Hangerback Walker X1, okay. And there's the Ravager. So I think what we're going to do is, I think we're going to path the Hangerback just to get it out of here. And then we're going to set up to oust the Ravager, I think. We're going to plan on that. So now our mana leak is looking pretty poor at this stage. Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. Slight change of plans, so I guess I kind of regret exiling that, the Hangerback Walker, but we couldn't have really predicted that this was going to happen, so We'll wait while our opponent contemplates the horrible fate that's about to befall them. And again, this is why these cards are in the deck. Again, if this was a Wrath of God, a Settle the Wreckage, a Day of Judgment, you know, any of those things, Supreme Verdict, we would be in a spot. But the ability to just pick this card up off the top of our deck and play it for 1 mana is extremely powerful. And in the modern format, if you're not doing something that's extremely powerful, you're probably not winning too many games of Magic. So if this is the closest that blue-white can come to actually cheating, for lack of a better term. Alright, there we go. Not cheating, but you know what I mean. This is our broken thing. So, on the play, don't think any of this gets any better or worse on the play, so I guess we'll just stick around here. I don't know about these. I don't know if these are correct or not. But they look like they can gum up the board. It looks like, again, barring exactly a... Ah, goodness, forgive me. It's been a long day. Barring exactly a Walking Ballista, I can't see Timely Reinforcements being a bad card in this matchup. It would block really well against those little Arcbound dudes that they were playing there, and they just go up the board for quite some time. I didn't see any trample, so okay. Once again, they get in under our Spell Snare, which is kind of annoying, but Untapped Blue Source once again is our best draw. I'll take any land, though, really. Maybe this was a hand that should have been thought over a little bit more. Okay, so they got the scales this game. So we're going to get to see their deck. Ooh, alright. So we're going to get to see their deck in all of its glory. And we're going to be looking to leverage this Timely Reinforcements pretty hard. Okay, now what's this guy again? Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a permanent you control, you may pay 1 if you do create a servo. Choose a counter on target permanent or player. Another counter of that kind. Oh boy. Okay. Sacrifice an artifact, you gain 1 life. So we'll play out the field here. I don't think any of these things are path-worthy yet. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a permanent you control. Yikes. What if they can do that multiple times? I think it sounds kind of like they can. But for now, we're just going to take 3. We're going to Spell Snare any 2-drop whatsoever, or if there's no 2-drop, we will opt. So that's going to get an additional counter. Do I want to do that, or do I want to go for the Terminus? I'm going to Spell Snare that. It lines up really good with our Timely Reinforcements, which again is kind of what we're going to use here to try and pull us back into the game after he goes nuts. Now it's quite possible that this resolves and he just goes ahead and plays a second Walking Ballista, but at the very least then he can't use his animation module. Nope. Okay. Alright, so now we're gonna... I want to play Timely right now. I think I do. He's got one card left in hand. If it's, again, if it's exactly a Walking Ballista, that kind of stinks. But I think I just need to try and drag this out. We need to just worry about making some land drops, drawing some more cards, rounding out our hand a bit better. This Teferi, if we can get this Teferi down, we can get rid of the Hardened scales. So again, Ballista would be disastrous here, but outside of that, it shouldn't be too bad since we're on the Wrath plan here. Okay, Hanger back. Okay, so he's going to pay a mana. Alright, looks like he can only do that once, so that's good. I think I'll take the 1. Now this is what? When this dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact creature. Okay. So we're just going to soak up a little bit of damage here. We're also going to try and keep his tokens down. And then we're going to hopefully untap and draw a land or a Terminus. That's kind of what we're after. It's worth noting he has no cards in hand. He or she has no cards in hand. And so our other option is if we brick here, I think we're going to path the hang. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So Terminus again, just like clockwork. If I had the time and the resources, I would really love to test the Miracles version of the blue-white Modern Control deck versus the non-Miracles version of the blue-white Modern Control deck, and run it through a gauntlet of decks. Play like 500 games with each, and just record how they do against various archetypes. I think that would go far away to settling the debate as to which of these control philosophies is better here. Now, this is why blue control is done with that. Okay, so so our opponent's salting off a bit. So, I don't know. So he's saying, never free to top deck it. Well, kind of a somewhat sour note. Not sure what's... yeah. Well, either way, yeah, I guess this is also, again, I'm sure what's probably a pretty lopsided matchup, so I'm not sure whether there's any credibility to what my opponent is suggesting. Why blue control is the dumbest deck in Modern, and playing it online is the most unrealistic thing ever for you to top deck it 2 games in a row without playing anything to set it up. Well, no, not really. I mean, we play 4 copies of it in the deck. I mean, yeah, if I could show him my hand here, and he could see that there is a Terminus already in my hand, and then I pick up the other one in the... So there's 2 in the top 11 cards of my deck. It just so happens that I won out this game. You know, I was on the right side of a coin flip. You know, there are plenty of games where I have, again, 4 Path to Exile, a Supreme Verdict, and some number of Termini, you know, left at this point, and as well as an Oust, and here I am getting beat down by a Scavenging Ooze for 6 turns, and I die. You know, it just happens. It happens to anyone, and it's just part of the game. I guess he's somewhat controversial in the Magic community, but there's one thing, at least for sure, that I agree with, that Jeff Hooglin says, is basically like, you play Magic to have fun. If you're not playing fun, you should stop playing Magic, or you should try a different deck, or play a different format, or something, you know. So, if this is part of Modern, you know, this is part of Magic. Do I enjoy getting run over on turn 3 by a Goblin Guide start from burn? You know, no, not really. But it's just how the format is. So yeah, I'm not sure what to tell him there. Like I said, I think I got pretty fortunate that match to draw those cards like I did in the top portion of my deck. But yeah, it is. I mean, it is what it is. They're in my deck for a reason. I have a non-zero chance to draw any card that still remains in my deck at any point during the game, and I just so happen to draw it. So, well, there you go. Miracles, Terminus proving its power there once again, and yeah, there are certain games where it'll get stuck in my hand and it'll sit there and won't be able to cast it because I'll won't hit land drops or this or the other thing, or it's like, oh, well, that was a verdict. It would have been a little better. And so that's why, like I said, I think it'd be really, really interesting to really test those 2 decks in depth, and just to kind of see, maybe put it to rest once and for all, which deck has a higher win percentage against the current meta. I'm certainly not arguing that the Terminus version versus the traditional sweeper version, one of those styles of deck is certainly better against certain matchups, I would imagine. But overall, I think that one would be found to rise over the other if it was put through just a gauntlet of decks in the format. So, and I'm currently of the relatively uninformed opinion that this, or something similar to this, is probably where you want to be in Modern. I think that blue-white control has just recently hit something of a pinnacle in the format, and I think recently printed cards such as this, recently unbanned cards, have made that possible. So, well, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that video, and yeah, I will see you guys soon. So take it easy, take care. Thanks again. Bye.